I have returned. This is going to be a similar video to the previous game dev video that I made. Recently, I made a video about a game called the Untitled Tavern. It was a top-down twin-stick shooter, and I made it in a month. I'm pretty proud of it. There's a lot of complex systems going on, and I'm happy with how it turned out. However, it's not that great of a game, if we're being completely honest. The game itself is too repetitive, and it kind of gets boring after a while. Even as I was playtesting it, there were parts where I just didn't want to play it because of how boring the game eventually got, and I'd like to change that, but with a twist. Instead of remaking the game one-to-one and just adding more features to make it more replayable, I want to remake the game 3 different times in 3 different game modes. A VR version, a top-down twin-stick remake version, and either FPS or third-person shooter version. And yeah, each remake will have the same visual assets, but the game design will be different from each system depending on what kind of design the system needs. The idea is to use this project to learn how game design differs between different systems. So in terms of goals, it's pretty simple. It's not pretty simple, it's complicated as shit. I have a couple important goals. Goal number 1 is to maintain a Goal number 1 is to maintain a strong sense of structure, which means deadlines and devlogs. Deadlines to keep me in check, and devlogs to keep me in check, as well as you, the viewer, informed about what progress has been happening. Goal number 2 is to maintain strong programming practices. I've learned a lot more about how to code from school, including programming patterns and all that stuff, and I intend to implement that into the game and make it modular, reusable, something that I can showcase on my portfolio, which might or might not be why I'm doing this. Because I need money. And a job. And money. Third goal is documentation. There's going to be a lot of documentation over everything that I do. This includes... I can't read my script, dog, it's so far away. This includes a game design document that'll go over everything the game is about. This includes a story bible, which will go over the narrative elements, an art reference document, a game reference document, and a programming systems documentation. Essentially, I will put everything on paper, so that I can put this on my portfolio and some guy can go, "Ooh, this person looks like he can do the coding. Let's get him a job here at Ubisoft." Goal number 5, 6? Goal number 4 is going to be task lists. There'll be task lists for every step of the process. There'll be design task lists, which is more for the pre-production stage. There's going to be a programming task list for the alpha stage and a art task list for the beta stage. Hold on a minute, Sai. What is alpha and beta? What? So game development, especially the game development that I'm familiar with, is split up into 3 different stages. There's pre-production, there's alpha, and there's beta. There's also content lock and release, but that's a bit too much compared to what we're doing right now. Essentially, the way it works is pre-production is what it sounds like. It's pre-production. It's whatever happens before production on the game begins. This is the planning, the design, looking up references, writing down systems, what you would need, creating task lists, so on and so forth. Then you have alpha. The alpha build, or what the build of the game that'll be ready by the time alpha is done, is the version of the game that looks awful but can be fully played. Essentially, all the mechanics will be there, all the systems will be in place, there's going to be a lot of bugs and it'll look like ass, but the game can be played completely. That's what needs to be done by the end of alpha. Then we have beta. Beta is when you take whatever you did in alpha and take that horror abomination and slap some paint on it so that it looks a little bit prettier and it becomes a little less horrifying. Oh god. How is this going to be timed out? That's a great question, and I'm so glad you asked, script. The idea is that I'm going to give myself 3 months to make this game. Potentially a little bit longer depending on how it goes, but 3 months will probably be the deadline. And at the end of those 3 months, I will release the game. I don't care what condition it's in. If it comes out well, then hopefully I can show this on my portfolio. If it comes out not well, hopefully I have learned a lesson and I won't repeat the same mistakes that I did whenever this happened. But that's kind of the main idea. The first month will be pre-production. The idea is if I can spend more time in pre-production and less time working shit out, then hopefully the game will go smoother. The second month will probably be alpha, and the third month will probably be beta. I'll release devlogs hopefully once every 2 weeks. They're not going to be hyper-edited devlogs because that just takes too much time. They're just going to be updates, maybe quick little updates going over what I've done so far and what I plan to do for the upcoming devlog. I know this is a lot different than the usual content I post. I post a lot of Witcher content recently, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy posting it. Kind of. It's a bit of a lie. In regards to the Witcher stuff, I'm probably going to stop posting that for a little bit. And I think I'm gonna stop with this series because I'll be honest, I'm just getting burnt out. And there's more to it than that, but I think that's all that really matters, is that editing something for so long to the point where you don't want to see it anymore is kind of frustrating, especially when the thing you're editing happens to be your favorite game of all time. So it's easy to get burnt out when you're doing something like that. So I'm taking a break from The Witcher. I'm going to be focusing on game development for a bit, also because I need a job and money. That's kind of the idea. I know this is a lot different than the stuff that I normally post, and that's not something that YouTube likes, but I hope you'll stick along for the ride, however crazy or bumpy or shitty it may be. Yeah, this is the intro for this series, and then we'll just kind of go on from there. I'm excited. I really am. I'm also a little bit nervous, a little bit scared. I'd like to not abandon this project halfway. I'd like to see it through, and I don't know, man. I don't know. Hopefully it comes out good. Just not ass would be fine. Okay, bye.